States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the village board meeting of October 12th. Roll call, please.
Caparos.
Here.
Possession.
Here.
Giannotti.
Here.
Terry.
Here.
Stacy.
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
You've got the minutes from the last meeting in your packet. Are there any changes or additions, deletions? Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Caparos.
Yes.
Possession.
Yes.
Giannotti.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Anyone in the audience wish to address the board? Okay, village clerk report.
Total tax income received in the month of September is $295,585.07. I also wanted to have a discussion with the village board about the increasing costs for dog tags. Dog tags go on sale December 1st of every year and due on March 15th of every year. The cost keeps going up, as well as for the actual cost of the purchase of the tags, the enforcement, and the Beecher veterinary clinic bill that we get for handling lost and abandoned pets. After looking at all of our numbers, this year 61% of the dog tags were purchased by credit card, either in person or online. And that's approximately $3,385 were paid check or cash. The other $5,280 was by credit card and e-check. The village now absorbs those credit card fees, and plus a lot of those were by mail, so we also have to pay 50 whatever cents it is at the time to mail those tags, which increases our costs. Our dog tags are right in line with what other towns are selling them for the regular price. But we were wondering to try and cover those increasing costs if we should consider increasing the late fee by $5. Right now it's $10 for a dog tag, $15 once it's late. It's not really a big incentive for people to get their dog tags. We also need to work on enforcement of dog tags too, but that could help absorb those increased costs that we're getting year after year. They keep building upon each other. And I just wanted to make the board aware of it. You can choose to do nothing or, talk about it later, but I want to make you aware of it because our credit card fees and usage has completely done a 180 turnaround since COVID especially.
There's not much of a penalty for buying these things late.
No,
No.
not really.
So if you double it, that makes more sense.
Yeah, well, I don't care, it's only another $5, I'll do it later or whatever. I just wanted to see what the board's thoughts on that.
Is there a way to charge the fee for using a credit card to the people that are using the credit card to try to incentivize coming in and paying for it early?
We did that before COVID.
Okay.
And we changed it for COVID to make it safer and easier for people to pay their bills.
Okay.
We can switch it where it gets imposed upon the residents again, but people are very used to that benefit.
Yeah.
And I think we adjusted our water and sewer rates accordingly to accommodate that, if I remember right.
For the water bills, yeah.
Yeah, I used to be a big advocate of reversing those fees, but the pandemic's changed a lot of perspectives,
Yeah.
And it is a benefit for people to pay online, as what it used to be is, we still have the same volume of things that we're doing, but we don't have to do it immediately when they're standing in front of you as much when they're doing it online. We can process them as we go, as, Donna, we get, when the water bills are due, she just gets a huge stack of online payments, which takes quite a while to do, but she can do them as she has time to do them, which makes it easier than as much traffic coming to the drive-through and the front. And if you want to pass the fees back on, you can. We discussed that before COVID. We're like, we can reimpose it the other way if we want to, but people are very used to that benefit right now, and they use it all the time.
Is there a consensus for raising the late fee to $20?
Yeah, I don't see any problem with that personally. People have every opportunity to get it on time and not pay the extra fee. So if that helps, mitigate some of the other issues, then maybe it's two birds in one stone.
But I just wanted a discussion with the board to see what you guys thought about it. Just so that you see what the costs
I don't
are,
own a
keep
dog, so.
increasing. Yeah.
I can't comment one way or the other.
The cost of the tags that we purchase from our vendor every year go up by $25 to $50 a year. You know, so that is an increase. Beecher Bet has an increase in their animals, their fees keep going up, so. And Bob budgets accordingly, I think, based on what we're getting, so.
I think there should be a penalty for not buying your tag on time. I mean, we give people plenty of notice on social media. They have from December 1st to March 15th. I mean, there's
That's a
three,
lot of
3.5
time.
months to buy your tag. If you don't,
Yeah.
then you gotta pay $20 instead of $10.
Do we know how many citations were issued too? Cause don't we issue citations? when they don't?
Enforcement has not been very good in the last few years.
That's when it changed.
So does that need to get better then, I guess is what you're
Yes.
saying?
That's on our list for the code enforcement officer to
Yes,
take care of.
yeah, because we really had no one to enforce that.
Right.
And in COVID, we really didn't have anybody
Was
to
it-
enforce it.
I mean, I don't think it was last year, I know 2 years ago, like a ton of tickets went out.
We did.
So last year they didn't.
It has not been
they didn't.
consistent, yeah.
Okay. But does that help offset the fees? Cause then they get a penalty, don't they get a ticket and then still pay the late fee?
Correct.
So what's, I don't even know what the ticket is for,
$100.
$100.
It's $100, but it's
$100.
compromised 50.
okay.
So most people pay it, you know, with the compromise and pay $50.
So if you get a ticket that's late, it's essentially $65. So if we, so is what you're saying, if we actually enforce the current rules we have, that would cover what we are doing for dog tax instead of increasing the late fees?
It would probably cover those costs, yes. You're not solving the problem of trying to get people to pay by March 15th.
But I mean, but if a $100 ticket isn't gonna incentivize them, why is $10 extra?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my only thing. I mean, I'm not saying don't increase it, but maybe give, we got a new code enforcement officer, we got a new chief.
Yeah.
We give them a season to see if it works, and we will know by budget time, won't we?
Sure.
Probably, and then we can discuss if we wanna do that. I mean, that would be my suggestion.
So leave it alone for another year?
Well, just, I mean, see if we enforce the rules we have in the books, if that's, I mean, if a $100 ticket isn't gonna incentivize someone, why is an extra $5 is my question.
And we haven't been bringing in as much the last few years because people know it's cheap and they figure, well, if I get caught and I get a ticket, then I'll bother to get it. You know, people just, it hasn't been enforced very uniformly in the last few years. Some years we do, some years we don't.
I agree.
Because a lot of the change in leadership over the last, 5 years. And the police don't like enforcing those types of things, which I understand, but now that we have code enforcement, that's definitely a good answer for it, so. We were just wondering, because we're gonna start selling them again in December and we want to advertise it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my suggestion, but I mean, maybe the rest of the board wants.
Because to increase the fee, we would have to pass an ordinance.
Anybody else have any thoughts? We can talk about it later too.
Okay.
We do strategic plan. Did you have a thought, John? You had a look.
No,
I know exactly what his thought is.
I just tell those eyes going.
as long as the fee stays off of the credit cards, that's my big thing. It's a service to the residents. Listen, that, you do what you gotta do to provide the services to the residents here, right? That's our job at the end of the day, so. I mean, the credit card makes things easier for staff, it makes things easier for the residents. So if it's a matter of enforcement, existing rules that are on the books, then do that. If it's a matter of raising late fees, then do that. But whatever it is, I think you just gotta take the, completely off the table of charging residents for using the credit card or e-pay, so.
Well, I need to talk to the chief about, dog tag.
And I wanna say we did a reminder letter before we ticketed people. I can't
They
believe we
did
just-
reminder postcards,
Reminder postcards.
We
I
still
can't
have
imagine
a-
we just sent a ticket in the mail.
but we still have a long list of people who never did come in.
Cause if my pet Chloe passed away and I got a ticket in the mail, it wouldn't make me very happy.
No,
You know, you should have an
postcard
opportunity to
that
say,
people
well,
call
Chloe
us.
passed away, that's why I didn't buy a dog tag.
Yeah,
And I know the year they sent out the tickets, they did a mailer first, or
Yes.
I don't know if it's, whatever they called it, a warning,
Yeah.
reminder, whatever it was.
yeah, it was a reminder postcard, and then people would call and say, my pet passed away, we crossed it off the list, and then tickets weren't sent to to anybody that didn't, anybody that didn't call and say that they lost their pet.
Well, let's try enforcement,
Works for me.
see how that goes. Okay, reports of the village commissions, beautification commission.
All I have is that the flowers are obviously coming down with the weather changing, and there'll be mums going up in different areas. I'm not exactly sure where, but usually the rest of the beautification committee takes care of that. I know Depot Park, Women's Welfare Park, but I do know that some of the potted flowers and stuff have begun to be removed, so that's where we're at. And I hear we're getting an orb.
What do we wanna do
We're
with that?
getting what? Oh,
We wanna show everybody.
I'm sorry, I think it's cool. I might be the only one. Someone is donating an orb. Do they have these in Chicago?
Like the cows.
Yeah, this is from, they did displays of orbs. This is from Wicked, and it's how big? 3 feet in
3
diameter?
feet round,
4
yeah.
feet?
Weighs 75 pounds.
75 pounds. Somebody got it in an auction. So they're willing to donate it to us. We have to find a spot for it. I don't have a problem with putting it out in front of Village Hall, to be honest with you. Halloween's coming. We talked about a few
Yeah.
places,
Cool.
talked about putting it in Depot Park or women's, the women's
Yeah.
welfare
Yeah,
park.
Patty was talking to the Weishauers, but I never heard the result of that, because she's on vacation, so I don't know. We can put it here for now if we.
Yeah, and I can talk to Melissa Ollendorf too and see, if they would like it down at their park,
That's fine.
so. Alrighty,
That's all I have.
alright. 4th of July Commission, trustee Kraus.
I was not able to attend the meeting, I was out of town. I did hear as a banner year. Does anybody else who was at the meeting have anything to add?
Yeah, he came out with a preliminary treasurer report that we did quite well. He doesn't have the final numbers yet because they still don't have the food bill in. It was up a lot, but some of that was, the village had, kicked in 15,000 as part of the sponsor fees. But overall, all the expenses were down and, there was a decent amount of revenue. We have plenty to fund next year. But it was one of the top, even if they accounted for things that came in that don't come in every year. I think they said it was in the top 3, was it? You were there, weren't you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we saved on the parade.
Yep.
We only had to pay for half the fireworks, there was some savings. So the band's entertainment
That was
budget was
way lower
down.
than
way down.
usual, yeah.
So.
No car.
Those factors weighed into probably the big net.
Mm-hmm. We switched back to Bud this year, right, from Miller? This was our first year back with Bud, or was it last?
Second.
No, I think
Second
that
year
was,
back.
Second year back in Bud.
I'm not a beer drinker.
I've been doing it for so long, I don't remember.
I know.
And then, also Chuck Payne officially is, just gonna be a commissioner now.
Yeah.
they're gonna chair and,
There's
Vice
vice chair and vice
chair,
chair.
is that what your title is, vice chair?
Yeah,
If the
yeah,
chairman
so
is-
Yeah.
Chairman Kenny
Kenny
Pavelski,
Babowski.
I am the vice chairman. And then, Nelson is staying on as treasurer, and Jenna Barber is still the secretary.
I'd like to thank everyone who helped out. I was there probably this year more than I've been in several years in the past, and I saw every board member up there helping out and pitching in, and a lot of new faces, so it's, I think they're going in a very good direction, and I think this will shine some light on what works and what doesn't work, and I think it's gonna be very good going forward here, so thanks and congratulations everybody who helped out.
Youth Commission, trustee session.
All right, so the next meeting is coming up next week on Tuesday, which is a bit off the normal schedule. They've just chosen a new day this time around. Biggest news is that at the last meeting, they've elected new leadership positions. So we have Jessica Smith as the new president and Eva Arario for the vice president. And I think the only other news of note is that longstanding member Emmanuel Gonzo Gonzalez has also provided his resignation after over 5 years with the BYC. So we wish him well and want to thank him for his service.
Excellent.
Just one question, do we still have a police rep in Beecher Youth?
I have not seen one.
Okay, I just think of this, I saw Roger in the audience, but Roger, you used to go to those meetings, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't have a police liaison go to the youth commission meetings. I think it'd be a good idea. If it's okay with you, chief, whether it's your juvenile officer or the school resource officer or whoever, but I think it'd be a good, we always had a good relationship with that commission, the police department did. In fact, it started with the police department, if I remember right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we'll get a liaison for you then.
Sounds great.
Okay.
That's all.
Historic Preservation Commission, trustee Kaporis.
Next meeting's, next Wednesday, October 20th, 7 PM, Jeanette? Did we decide?
Yes, 7 PM.
7 PM at the depot, so any history buffs, 1 out of 10, come on down. That's it.
Okay, under my report, the first item is for discussion, consider issuing a beer and wine license to Lucky Linda's Gaming Parlor. There's material in your packet, the couple is here tonight who are requesting that liquor license. And basically just asking for input, we don't have to do a decision or a vote tonight, but they had something that was just a little bit different, and they've got their story in the board packet, you probably saw it. As far as wanting to set up something that's sort of a 40s and 50s throwback sort of a scenario. They're looking at potentially some breakfast, lunch, and dinner options. But do you guys want to do a little explanation, or do you just prefer to answer questions, or?
Yeah, whatever works. I mean, we can answer any questions you have, or,
I know they had discussed, there were 2 different addresses they were looking at. I'm assuming you haven't committed to anything yet.
correct.
And I know there's a third one that could potentially be on the table as well from when we spoke. They were looking at, according to the floor plan, they were looking at 6 gaming machines. There were 2 tables for them to snack. There's a snack bar and then a lounge area where they wanted to do a big screen TV to do older kind of vintage movies. Was that pretty much?
Pretty much, like TV Land or something along those lines.
Okay. And then there's also a snack bar area in the back, and it was just kind of a preliminary floor plan. Obviously, they don't have an exact space yet. This is still preliminary enough. We can't do a liquor license without a business name and an address and things like that, but they basically wanted to come forward concept-wise to see if this is something that the board might be interested in seeing in town. A little bit different from just a flat-out gaming parlor. I thought it was kind of interesting even doing the breakfast options, and I felt it was interesting enough to bring forth and see what you guys thought. So this is just a consensus, and they're here if you have questions about what they're looking at, what they're interested in.
I'll ask you one question. You're familiar with Lacey's operation up there, are you not?
Yes, I've never been in there, but.
You've never been in there?
No.
All I was gonna ask you is, how are you different than Lacey's? In other words, if I went to town and I was gonna pick your place or Lacey's, why would I pick your place over Lacey's?
I think-
What do you bring to the customer, I guess is my question.
I think it'd be the atmosphere. We'd offer, you know, a little more food options, and just the, you know, we want to be a place where, like, the farmers would come to have their morning coffee, somewhere to meet, and something a little different. We don't want to be in that category of a parlor, but,
And I noticed you had a TV room in there.
right.
What's showing on the TV, the Bears game or White Sox playoffs? I'm just curious.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, well, like we had discussed it, we wanna do something like, have TV Land showing all the old shows, you know, Andy Griffith, something like that.
Okay, so you're
Kind
talking
of
to
fit
the older
the
audience.
theme of
I got you.
how we're, yeah.
Okay.
So, just kind of what I'm picking up off this is more of, restaurant-ish, lounge type place.
Like a
with
coffee cafe.
gaming in addition to it, is kind of what you guys are
Correct.
talking about, okay. So gaming's not the main,
Correct.
Yeah, we wanna focus more on the food. I'll be doing all the cooking, so. Yeah.
I have a question. Do you have any experience running a business, a bar, restaurant, anything?
So I run a construction company, but she has a lot of experience in the food industry. She's been around that for 10 years.
Yeah, about 10 years here, so.
Have you cooked or mostly served, or?
Mostly served, but cook every night, so I kinda.
Alright. Anybody else got questions?
I don't know if this is like too early, I was just curious. For like the food options, is it all just gonna be like eat on premise, or do you plan to do like any carry out options?
Yeah, carry out for sure. You could do to go, you could come in and eat there, order to go as well.
I just have a question. Do you expect your clients to come for the food, the entertainment, the TVs and all, the atmosphere, or the gaming?
kind of a combination of all three. We'd like them to come for the atmosphere mainly. I think that's what we're trying to offer, something different. But yeah, I think it'd be a little bit of all of them to make it work.
So is there only 2 tables in this drawing for feeding? Is that what I'm looking at, near the snack bar, there's gonna be 2 4-seat tables and that's it?
That's all up to which location we get. We'd like to have more tables than that. That's kind of a preliminary layout until we have an exact location.
Yeah, which the lounge area could be a lot smaller if we get a lot of people in for food, then I'd rather add more tables and
Right.
chairs.
Okay, that's what, yeah, you guys said you were expecting to split evenly, this,
Right.
I understand this is preliminary, but just the way I'm looking at the lounge area and the gaming area and the bar are bigger than any seating area for people just to come in to eat.
And there's 3 spots that they had told me, I don't wanna necessarily say it all on camera, but, there were 3 spots that they were looking at, and all 3 are completely different sizes, so, you know, this is very preliminary as far as floor plan, I would say.
You guys aware of how many gaming licenses we already have, or establishments that we have in town? How many we
Yes.
have?
Anybody else? Questions, nothing? Any ideas? And again, you know, it's preliminary, you guys would have a lot of work to do, you know, before you even came to the point where you could come in to apply. You know, you've gotta have a
Right.
place, you've gotta have a business name. I can encourage you to do some background research, not only on what you would have to do, like at our end, for, as far as getting permits to be able to construct what you're gonna do, but you are definitely going to want to talk to the fire district before you do anything. You know, there's fire codes that are going in, and when it comes to food service, there's gonna be requirements for alarms, et cetera. So I know one of the locations you're looking at would probably be a little easier to retrofit into that, maybe 2 of them. There would be a little more work on a 3rd, so, you know, you've got a lot of groundwork before you would even be coming in to apply for this, but.
Do you have a contact in the gaming industry that will help you through their?
I do, with Excel Entertainment.
Okay, 'cause I know it's
we've been-
complicated to get a gaming license.
Oh, absolutely,
Liquor is
right.
nothing compared to how to get a gaming license.
Right, yeah, it definitely is a process, especially right now. And it's a lengthy one, but we do have someone we're working with.
Okay.
Um,
I don't want you to get all into this and find out, oh, this is
You're
more
right, yeah.
complicated than I thought.
And if it took you, so let's say you got a space available, you applied for your liquor license, you've got your lease, you're doing your construction, et cetera, and you can't get a gaming license for a long time.
Right,
Are you able to open up and do food first?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, I mean, you wouldn't have to completely rely in order to survive on the gaming, you're
No.
looking at, okay.
And you're looking for beer and wine only, correct?
Beer and wine only, yes.
Anybody have any major objections, or just, you know, kind of see it through what happens? What do you guys think? Okay, I'll be in touch with you guys, I'll try to get, I'm gonna be around tomorrow, I'll try to give you a call tomorrow and kind of just look at what next steps you're gonna take, and take it from there,
Awesome, I appreciate it.
okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, and if you guys don't wanna hang out through the meeting?
We'd love to, but
All right, thanks
have a good one,
everyone.
thanks.
Thanks, bye-bye.
See you guys.
Have a good one.
Okay, the next is results of the meeting with Will County on truck and traffic movements in eastern Will County. I'm gonna let Bob give you the update on that. We went to University Park Golf Club to meet with some of the Will County reps last week. This was my first one, and they've been working on this for 3 years, 4
The
years,
faces have all
5 years.
changed, but the story remains the same. They're trying to solve east-west truck movements through Will County, and there's no easy solution. The Ilion Expressway would solve that problem, but now that it's not gonna happen, it's gonna be difficult to find east-west connector. And it's amazing to me how many of our officials don't know about the dangers of County Line Road Route 1. It's a very dangerous corner there. And I made a common how many bodies have to pile up down there before somebody does something with that intersection. It needs to happen. It's on two road districts, District 1 to the north, District 3 to the south. And that doesn't help. We have two different road districts that meet at that road. So we'll see what happens. But it's a very dangerous corner with trucks turning left off of Route 1 onto that road or turning onto the road, onto Route 1 from that road. I think everyone's experienced that before.
And there were a lot of people there that were working on some of these roads, and they took down some notes, but I think there was a little bit of a disconnect, because the next day I got, and I don't think you were copied on them, I got a slew of emails from people that they were working on this, but they were under the impression that we were talking about Route 50 and County Line Road, which is slated to have some construction done, and they weren't aware of the fact that it was actually Route 1 and County Line Road. So I know I spoke to our Will County rep, and she said something about if there's certain times of day, if we can come up with where most of the accidents happen, if it's mostly trucks that are coming through, she can talk to Sheriff's Department and maybe get somebody to sit out there at certain times of day to try to enforce and, you know, do something to abate it, but.
What they need is left turn lanes and diesel lanes there.
Yep.
That would help.
So, alrighty, the next is to consider an appointment to Beecher 4th of July Commission. So Stephen Barber, the last name may sound familiar, is willing to join the commission to co-chair the parade committee and the big six wheel starting in 2022, coincidental with when Bob Barber is going to be easing his way away.
That's correct.
So, can we have a motion to appoint, Stephen Barber, what's it, Bob Barber? You're back. Stephen Barber to the 4th of July Commission.
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, roll call.
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Benati,
Yes.
Possession,
Yes.
Caprows.
Yes.
Okay, committee reports, Finance and Administration Committee, Trustee Kaporis.
Consider a motion approving the treasurer's report and all non-AP payments for the previous month. Donna?
The September month-end balance for the village accounts, $3,309,483.06. The total of the commission accounts, $216,100.62. The total of altogether, $3,525,583.68. The September month-end for general, $904,955.56. The September non-AP payments total $358,202.30. You can see the Fourth Fest, their payments equal $92,679.05, and we had 3 payrolls in the month of September. And if there's no questions, that would end my report.
Alright. So I will go ahead and make a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month and non-AP payments for the month prior.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call.
Caprows,
Yes.
Possession,
Yes.
Benati,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Alright, variance reports are enclosed for your review. Consider a motion approving the bills and payroll for the previous month. Some additions that, since they went out. Reimbursement to, Officer Beck for $198.98. Corn Main, Water Department supplies $622.56. Hall signs, $101.75 for street signs. Also Jefferson, electrical parts, $1,630.76. Linco equipment sales, $290. temporary materials, stone, $381.40. Rugged notebooks, $374. And I believe that's it. Anyone have any questions on the bills? All right, I'll go ahead and make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $470,531.99.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second? There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call?
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Unani,
Yes.
Possession,
Yes.
LaBrus.
Yes. Consider an ordinance authorizing the execution of a loan agreement with First Community Bank and Trust in the amount of $254,000 for 10 years at 1.91% for the splash pad. 3 proposals were received. Each one of these will explain by the treasurer. The best proposal received from First Community, and the committee recommends approval of this loan offer. Donna, you wanna just quick run through the 3 offers and their rates?
Yeah, I did talk to 5 different banks and we received 3 proposals. The one from First Community, for 10 years, 1.91%. The other one, Itasca Bank, was 2.8% if it was secured, or 2.8% unsecured, or 1.6% over a CD rate if the loan was secured. Midland, they offered 3.9% for the first 5 years, then, after that, 1.5% above prime with a floor of 4%
So it was
for
a
the
balloon,
balance.
5-year balloon, basically.
Yeah. So those were the 3 proposals that we received. Anybody with any questions?
No? Then I'll go ahead, number?
1355.
I'll go ahead and make a motion approving ordinance 1355, authorizing the execution of a loan agreement with First Community Bank and Trust in the amount of $254,000 for 10 years at 1.91%.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call?
Caprows,
Yes.
Possession,
Yes.
Unani,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Results of the annual Tiff District Joint Review Board meeting. The meeting was held last week. Basically, it was a whole 3 minutes, if that. There's not much to report on. There was no new activity. We do have the one agreement that was agreed to the year prior. There was a treasurer's report provided, and a disbursement was basically approved. I don't think it needs to be approved, it's already done, but it was gone over with everybody, and that's it. The meeting was adjourned, so. But the village does need to appoint a new citizen at large to the joint review board before next year's meeting, so that's a mayoral appointment, so be at your pleasure.
All right.
Someone else to fill, probably seat to fill for you. Consider an intergovernmental agreement for the joint purchase and use of fuel and the sharing of tanks. The current agreement expires April 30th, 2022, and the agencies that sit on the fuel committee have recommended a new agreement for a period of 4 years, commencing November 1st, 2021, and ending October 31, 2025. This will allow newly elected governing boards to review the agreement in the summer of '25. Please see the enclosed ordinance and agreement. This goes back, I was unable to attend for work, because of work, this recent one, but the one prior is where we went over it. The old agreement was a 10-year agreement. Everybody kinda agreed that we're better off keeping it on a 4-year cycle, along with the elections of new mayoral elections and also township elections for the road district. So, being 2 of the biggest parties involved. So that was changed. There was also some discussion as to I had brought concerns about the amount that the village received for, basically handling this account, basically doing the ins and the outs for this fund. So I believe there was a slight change there, an extra $100 a month that the village will receive for taking care of this fund. I think it went from $300 a month to $400, so 25 or 33% increase. So other than that, I looked at it, I think it's good, so if anybody has any questions.
So I mean, I know in the past you've had some concerns with this entire process. Was there anything else that you had concerns with?
So it was always,
Sit back.
right, so,
What pot stir? Go.
look, we had that time to have that discussion. The consensus of the board was to move along and continue this. So I went there as the board's representative and did as instructed. The board's consensus was to move along with this, so I didn't question things and I didn't do that. I looked out for the village's best interest and the fact that I felt for us administering this fund, that we weren't compensated enough by the other taxing bodies for the headaches and the work that Donna has to put into maintaining this fund and us having to prepare it for audit yearly and so forth. There was also concern about the amount of revenue that remains every year based on the additional amount that's charged over for the usage. So I believe it was, what was it, 4 cents?
And raise it to 6.
And they raised it to 6 cents, right? So there was an extra 4 cents per gallon added on to everybody, basically to create a fund for maintenance and replacement of the equipment of the, the tanks and pumps and stuff like that. So that got increased and I think it's fine, so. Anybody have any comments or questions or? No, Raj?
No.
No. Sure? It's your chance. Alright, I'll go ahead and make a motion to, approve the village's participation in an intergovernmental agreement for the joint purchase and use of fuel and the sharing of tanks.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
I'll second.
Do the dates need to be in there?
You need the dates in it?
Depends
Might
on
as
when
well
the-
put it in there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, can I add for April 30, 2022 through,
Actually, it'll go
I
into
know.
effect November
Oh,
1.
November 1st.
November 1 of 21 through October 31 of 25. I'm sorry.
And the old one will stay into effect while the other government bodies approve
Yeah.
this deal.
There's a motion and a second, correct?
I'll keep it, yeah.
You keep your, okay, a motion and a second. Discussion? Roll call.
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Tenati,
Yes.
Possession.
Yes.
Proposed.
Yes. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Okay. Public Buildings and Properties, Parks and Recreation Committee, trustee Terry.
Yes, so I've got a couple things here. Consider a proposal to rekey the public works facilities in the amount of $6,903.05 from Lockout Express of Sherrill, Indiana. We're gonna be using the IPRF grant funds. I believe the grant funds just came in for that, and we budgeted for this project. It's also going to allow all the facilities to be handled by one key for Public Works. I know we've had a little bit of turnover within the years in the past, and to my knowledge, I'll have to ask the superintendent of there, but I believe it's been 18 years since we've had the locks and stuff be changed.
That's just since I've been here that I know we haven't done it, so it could be longer.
So I know there's other explanations inside our packets.
Make a motion.
Yep, like make a motion to consider the proposal to rekey the public works facilities in the amount of $6,902.05 from Lockout Express of Sherrill, Indiana.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion? Roll call?
Caprows,
Yes.
Possession,
Yes.
Genati,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Okay, also on the splash pad update, I don't know if anybody's had a chance to go over there and take a look, but, you know, they've got the grass out there getting ready to grow it up, all the concrete work's done. I think we're still waiting on the, pad or the actual special, you know, for the flooring. Or anything else you wanna add?
No, I had a conversation with George's Landscaping this morning. They're pretty much buttoned up. They're just waiting for that 28-day grace period for the concrete to fully cure before they can put that rubber membrane finished flooring down. Like Trustee Terry said, the grass has started growing, and all the plumbing, we still have a little bit of electrical work to do on our end that we thought was part of the project, but we thought the electrician was doing their portion as well as the regular panel hookup, and we found out that they're not. So they played dumb that they're surprised that they didn't have power once they wired everything in. So we're getting that situated, but we should have that figured out by the end of next week. So
Are you gonna do it in test run on it before winter?
they talked about it. I don't know what their plan is now. I would prefer not to, really, just so, because we run the risk of it not being winterized properly, but that's on them. So if they choose to, then we will.
Then all you gotta do is set a grand opening date and everything.
Yeah.
Joe, you're good at that, so. You gotta pick a date.
There's some big
Next
things.
year?
Some Dunkin'
Wanna do
Donuts.
that next year?
No, in the spring, probably in May.
Is that gonna stay fenced off through the winter?
I would
Or
say
just
no.
until they put the membrane?
Yeah, I don't really know why they have it fenced off right now, to be honest with you. I think the fence could come down. There's nothing out there now that's not gonna continue to be out there. If we're gonna protect it now, then it should be fenced off all year, every year for infinity. There's only two, minus the two shade structures, there's only two actual water features out there that could get tampered with, but if they're gonna get tampered with now, they're gonna get tampered with next year. So I don't see a reason to keep the fence up, I really don't.
That brings up a good question. Should we accommodate some type of visual observation, that's some video surveillance?
Yes.
I believe we have a unit in the garage now. Who's observing that or where that loop is going, I don't know. But we have video surveillance in the park. We would just have to add a camera for that splash pad.
100% yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put that on your list before I have to work on that. Because I don't know enough about that video surveillance.
We have access to them when something happens.
Okay. Yeah, we'd probably have to add a camera, I'm guessing. And I think we have room on it. I think we bought a system for 8 cameras when we have 6 out there.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Alrighty, planning, building and zoning committee, trustee Stacy.
Yes, Mayor. The building department's monthly report has been closed for everybody. Also, the planning and zoning administration hearing on the appeal of the sprinkling for 610 Gould Street. After about 90 minutes of the meeting and everything, and all parties had their say, planning and zoning committee denied the appeal on the blueprints, the way they were submitted, and advised them to work with the building department and the fire district to design a plan that would work without sprinklers. And several of the board members were attending at the meeting. That's all I have.
But I have a comment about that, or a question, I don't know if anyone can answer this. And this sums it up pretty good. After 90 minutes of all this, bottom line was work with the agencies. Isn't that what they're supposed to do in the beginning, not a final appeal? I mean, why wasn't that? I mean, this guy was here and he's frustrated because he's asking for options, asking what he could do to satisfy the requirements from the fire district. And I heard there's nothing he could do, I heard there's options he could do, and then, you know, when we left it, there was a final answer. I mean, isn't that the point of them to work with these other agencies so it doesn't get to this?
I
It
don't
is,
disagree.
and I mean, there were, now you were present at other meetings they've had in the past. I was not, how many meetings have they had in the past?
It was my understanding that you could, in theory, provide a 2-hour fire rating with an alarm system and not have to sprinkler the building. But the fire district and the building department's position is, it's not on us to tell them how to do it, they have to present it, and then we say yea or nay. Now, I don't know why they can't sit down and work it out, you know,
And that, I mean, that's,
So-
that's my question.
So, alright, yeah, cause now, now you're jumping, now I'm jumping in here. First of all, why would the so if the building department is capable of saying, yes, you've achieved a 2-hour fire rating, or no, you haven't, why can the building department not tell them, or the fire district, tell the business owner what to do to achieve a 2-hour fire rating?
Well, the one building
that's a
inspector
question you
said,
have to ask them.
but the one building inspector, I mean, we had 2 reps there from Safeville. One was sort of agreeing with the fire inspector, and the other one, when you asked him what he thought, he's like, I don't know, I haven't been in there. So I mean, what, like,
And those are our people that we.
yeah, I mean, those are,
To add to
this
that-
person was here trying to figure out what they could do to satisfy the requirements. And I felt like it was just either being blown off or given a runaround or saying, no, this is what we want, this is what you will do.
Well, they were out of town people, and usually they end up, arguing with the municipal fire departments over stuff like this, when they're in other communities. That's the other problem, they don't know that the fire district is separate from the village.
How long of notice did Safebuild have that meeting was gonna happen?
Oh, a month.
So why couldn't they have their rep that actually was dealing with this project at the meeting? I think that's a question that we need to ask Safebuild.
His boss was here.
I mean, but
But his boss
neither
didn't
of them had hardly, the one guy, the supervisor had no knowledge of this project at all. And the other gentleman that was here from Safebuild had only been into the property once. The guy that was managing all this and in all the meetings wasn't even here. So I think we need to go question Safebuild on why that occurred the way it did. If they had a month of notice, they could've came back and told us, oh, he's not gonna be in town, can we schedule it for when he is? Because I feel like the appropriate party from the building department wasn't even here to answer some of the questions as well.
So I'll
So,
send an email out and see what kind of response.
you know, I mean, that's kind of, that's where I got a
I
question.
mean, these are the people that
I
we
mean,
pay.
this is who we're paying to do this, we gave them a month notice, and you can't provide us with the person that's been following this project from the beginning. I think they need to answer that to the board.
I mean, it's sort of like the process of that. I mean, and I know where this came from. I started this 2-3 years ago when the fire run came to me. It was a good concept, it's a good idea. But I mean, there's gotta be a happy medium somewhere. I mean, we don't have corporations coming here to, the vacant properties we have, they're not coming in to build. Some billion-dollar company's not coming in. So if we say, yes, you have to do this, or you're done, they can afford that. We have mom and pop, small businesses, you saddle them with some of these regulations, nothing's ever gonna get done. And I would like this looked at to see what has been working, what hasn't been working, what has been working, and maybe look at redoing some of it, or getting rid of some of it, or, something. That it's gonna be a killer.
Well, and unfortunately, I hate to say this, but part of the process is you come in for a building permit. And that starts the process. That didn't happen here. Back whenever that happened, for whatever reason, and that was before me, I have no clue what happened back then, but somehow or another, there was no building permit issued back when this started.
Did they submitted plans before that though, didn't they, or did they not?
They submitted plans.
But never
we-
got the permit,
We
correct?
didn't start a review because we didn't get an application, so there was no guarantee we would have been paid a fee from the review.
Okay.
What was
And
that? We didn't what?
We had the plans for a couple of years. We never did a formal review because they never
Apply for a
submitted a
permit?
building permit to start the planning
Well, that's on them.
What would need to be reviewed? It's not changing for any zoning or anything else, it's a simple
It's a code review. Until we have a building permit application filed, we don't do a plan. And the fire district did not get those plans until the building permit was applied for. But it was kind of after the fact because he tore out the floor.
Okay, so, first of all, there should probably be a slap on the wrist or whatever for that aspect of it. But to get things right, moving forward, again, my question is, if the building department is competent enough to say, yes, this meets the codes, or no, this doesn't meet the codes, why can they not give a description of what would meet the codes and what would not?
I think, and I'm not defending their position, but their position is that responsibility is on the client's architect.
Okay, and
He's a certified architect, he needs to do that.
so,
Suppose he didn't
And-
have an architect, I'm sorry.
suppose he,
go ahead.
yes, because that's exactly what I was gonna say, suppose he doesn't have an architect, at the end of the day, this is a vendor of ours. And if we ask them to do something, if they're unwilling to do it, then maybe we need to reevaluate who we're contracting to do this work for us.
I understand. So you're
If they're
saying,
not willing to work with existing
achieve a
business
2-hour
owners,
fire rating on that building. is what
if
you're
they're
saying.
not willing to work with existing business owners within our village, our small town, then maybe we need to find a company that will do the inspections that is willing to work with existing business owners or new businesses coming to town.
And this, I mean, this was the first meeting I attended where this happened, but, I mean, this guy was up here, I don't know how many, well over a dozen times, he asked, what can I do to comply? You know, I mean, that, again, maybe he never said that in a meeting before, I don't know, I wasn't there.
And
But
I
this
know,
one,
I know
he was
that's not
almost
on,
begging for it.
I know Safe Built didn't respond, but neither did the fire district. Neither
It's
one of
on
them
them.
did.
I mean, if you have,
And the fire district position is they have to have sprinklers, period.
Well,
That's
we'll
fine
get
on
into
the
that
national
with part of
fire
this,
code.
I actually met with him for an hour and a half yesterday with the inspector, that I had mentioned to you, because he came to inspect me, so I kinda hijacked him.
I'm sorry, Roger, I cut you off. Go ahead.
So, we talked a long time, and there are some options, but I don't know who brokers this, me, whatever, to get these people in a room together.
I tried.
There
I
are,
couldn't get
there
it
are
done.
some options, but
That's why I went
if you
to
wanna,
BZC
yeah,
with.
if you wanna keep an open brick wall, then you can't, you're not gonna have a firewall. He says if you wanna drywall it all in, you can have a firewall, but you still have to go below that 50 people occupancy. If you wanna go below 50 occupancy, can you make the money you need to make happen? So he actually did have options, there's a whole bunch of them, but probably none of them are so great. It's a matter of the two of them sitting down and discussing what each one wants to do. And
I
if,
tried that.
and if one side wants to do this, just period, this is what I wanna do, and the other one says you can't do that, there's gotta be some compromise at this point. But I agree, we need to move forward and get something done, you know, what happened before is kinda immaterial.
I will do the best I can.
Well,
But you
I'd
need a fire
like to,
district willing to cooperate.
well, if you wanna, if you're gonna set up a meeting, I wanna be there, so
I will
let's
set
set it
up
up
a
on a
meeting.
date.
I mean, so, I mean, that was just said, are they not cooperating? I mean, we had an IGA with them. To
In my
cooperate
opinion,
together.
You're gonna end up with a vacant building if you don't come up with a different solution.
Well, and like I said, there's a compromise between safety, which I agree with, that's why, you know, when the fire department came to me 2-3 years ago, whatever it was, I brought to the board and we agreed to this intergovernmental agreement. But if a member isn't holding up their end of the bargain, then, I mean, we need to relook at that. And if they're not cooperating, is what was just said, then maybe something needs to be looked at.
They're following the letter of the law.
I was gonna say, they're
And,
following,
yeah. I mean, part of that is
They are following the code.
the code that's adopted by the village currently is kind of holding them to this. I think when this process, from what I understood, and correct me if I'm wrong, this process with this building started before the village had adopted the 2018 code. And with adopting the new code, it changed a lot of these regulations in certain aspects of what's being done to that building. Under the old code, some of the issues that they're having wouldn't be there because there weren't regulations on that. Now that we've adopted a different code, there's newer regulations that have changed the situation in buildings, specifically around occupancy numbers and things like that, from what I understand.
Well, there was another, thing that came to my attention that the state fire marshal could come in here and invoke, because it's state law, it's not even
Yep.
our ordinance now, it's state code. The NFPA or whatever that is. So even if we were to, grant the appeal, someone could have called the state fire marshal's office and then they would have been down here telling the building owner what to do.
I think the fire district's doing their job, I don't think that they're not doing, they're doing and helping out the best they can do, but like Joe said, they're telling you what the law is. This is the law and this is what you gotta do, and I think when we were my interpretation of when they were at the meeting, that the fire district was saying, well, listen, you have to do this or you have to do that, and either way, it's gonna end up being sprinklers, because you have to minimize your occupancy for Sitting Bull, and then, I mean, I don't know, to have what he has right now, it can't be done. And I think he wants to, I think Sitting Bull wants to have what they have right now, and the fire department's saying no. And unfortunately, somebody's gotta be the bad guy, and it's the fire department or the fire district, because they're the ones who are telling everybody what the law is and what we adopted.
It's not, I don't think it's anything that they're themselves imposing, they're
Right,
just
they're just following
telling
through.
you what the state says.
If you not put the breezeway in between the buildings and limit the occupancy of the buildings, you don't need sprinklers. And that's not what.
But you have to do, but you still have to do the drywall in order to do that, but then they hit that 50% thing again, and that's why
And two, wasn't there something with the doors or
Yeah.
the hallway or something?
you don't do the breezeway. But
you can't
there's
connect.
so many factors, at the end of the day, what they presented, they have to represent in
Yeah,
a
and
different
that's-
way in order
Right,
to
just-
achieve
right.
what
And
they
that's- I
want
mean,
to
it was-
achieve.
It was
It's-
appropriately denied,
Yeah.
our attorney recommended it, because what they presented didn't meet the code.
Yeah,
But, like I said, there's,
They can propose a new thing.
yeah, and
Yeah.
from what, but they need help figuring out what they need, and I don't think they got it. I mean, and you just said it, you need a fire district that's willing to work with them. I mean, I haven't been to all those meetings, you have, so, I mean, I don't know.
Well, believe you me, I tried to keep it from getting to the appeal. This has been going on since May. Yeah.
Or Safe Built needs to help him, or the architect needs, you know what I mean? There's a lot of steps here where somebody could have potentially stepped in and maybe worked this out, but nobody's giving any advice. We got to the end of the meeting and I still was asking. I met with the fire chief for about 2.5 hours, the following week. And we went over it, like the 50% problem. And, there's more than the main floor, there's other things that have happened too. I've met with him, I've met with the inspector, but, we're at a point where it's just gotten so far, I don't know how you turn back from here. So we need to try to meet again.
We will get everybody in the same room. And Safe Built faces losing a contract, and maybe the fire district risks losing the IGA. We don't get that. That's what I'm hearing, is that correct?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, let's look at the.
Well, you gotta-
Yeah,
I mean,
that's not
it's-
necessarily
the-
what
The
you're
board said their concerns, let's see if we
Yeah.
can figure it out to make this acceptable for all parties involved.
I would like to save that looked into though with that drop on that meeting, not having the guy here. That's pretty ridiculous in my opinion. To not make that known in enough time for us to either reschedule or for him to have rescheduled to be here.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, a lot of people said a lot of things, but,
Safe Built.
Safe Built said the least.
And I feel like they got out of it because the person we needed here to answer the questions that they needed to answer wasn't here. And a lot of stuff I think got directed at the fire district that shouldn't have been directed at the fire district, it should have been directed at Safe Built, but Safe Built said, well, we don't know, we're not familiar with this project.
No, they
Why is
were,
the
they
guy
did
that
plan
is
to-
familiar with the project here? So,
Well, yeah, whoever was here was unfamiliar with the project and couldn't answer questions.
you know,
A lot of people couldn't answer questions that night.
they owe us an answer.
Okay. Well, that, since everybody hijacked your committee. Are you,
Okay,
well, is that the end of your
that's the
report?
end of my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Long report, Steve, trustee. Public Safety Committee, trustee Kraus.
Thank you, Mayor. Feel free to jump in wherever you want. So the corporal promotion test, the process has begun. The written test will be at the end of this month. We'll get the results back and we'll do the oral boards sometime early in November. And then we'll get a list posted, and then hopefully end of November, beginning of December, we'll have it made for the next corporal. Anything to add, Chief? Trick or treat hours, 2 to 6 p.m. on Sunday. EMA and the police department will be out in the afternoon patrolling. There will be activities and hot dogs for kids in Fireman's Park from 5 to 7 p.m. provided by the Lions Club. Department to apply for a grant for license plate readers, or LPRs, at the entrances to the village. These readers watch the plates that have been tagged as stolen, revoked, suspended, or wanted for some other criminal activity. This information is relayed to the police almost immediately. In addition, every vehicle that passes the LPR is photographed and the image stored for 30 days in the event there is a crime committed in the town. The video records, and then the police can access that if they need to. It costs approximately $27,500 per year. The grant will cover 100% of it, correct?
Yes.
And it's for, that portion is for 2 years, correct?
They're only gonna pay, the grant's only for 2 years.
Okay. And then, if we don't continue with it, they come and take the stuff, it's no cost to us. And then in there additionally is a reimbursement for some of the in-car cameras that we approved already. They're applying for reimbursement for some of that money also in the grant. So, and we actually did apply for it already. We're not going to apply, it's already been applied for, correct? Submitted?
It's my understanding that Roger submitted it last week and it was accepted.
Okay.
And it would be, the in-car cameras would be for $8,000 the first year, $9,000 the second year. So $17,000 for just the in-car camera.
We get reimbursed.
That we've already paid for, but it is a reimbursable grant.
And then they said about, 6 weeks, we'll find out if we get the grant?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay. Anyone have any questions about that?
I was just curious with the information that's relayed to the police almost immediately part, does it really come in fast enough that where you can actionably get out there and do something about it?
Well, I have a lot of experience with LPRs. I'm the Illinois Chiefs Association expert on LPR. So it used to be that the Secretary of State databases were not big enough to accommodate the LPR information. But it's my understanding that recently that they are, and either it's going to be immediate, interactive, or they put a list out daily of the hot cars. So how that would help us is the major crime now in Northern Illinois is car burglaries. And the criminals don't break windows because that wakes people up in the middle of the night. They only concentrate on unlocked cars. And believe me, there's enough unlocked cars that it pays off. And you wouldn't believe how many people leave their keys in the car and unlocked, and some people leave guns in the car. So what this would do, it would alert us to us, and the criminals are most always in the stolen car as well. So if this alerts us to the stolen car, then we can deploy our officers right to that area where it is and find and either chase them out of town, because they know we generally, most police departments cannot chase for property crimes. And I agree with that, because it always ends up in an innocent person being hurt seriously. So that will alert us to the fact that cars in town, we send our officers right to that area. We either, it's my understanding, or the best way to deal with these people is to get them on foot. Because you can get them on foot, you can chase them and catch them. But if you get them in a car, it's going to be difficult to catch them. But at least we chase them out of town.
These are not red light cameras, correct?
These are not red
Okay,
light
just for the benefit of the public, we're not talking red light cameras here.
And we won't,
Do you advocate letting people know we have them, or do you want to do the quiet surveillance. Some towns have a policy where they have flashing strobes on their cameras and stuff, in other towns, you don't even know they have a camera.
Well,
What's the right way of doing it, kid?
I don't recommend we do anything. I think we put them up and just leave them up. I don't think we need to announce it. 7 years ago, the ACLU was against LPRs and they fought vigorously against them. So, you know, we deploy cameras, we're putting them up with the understanding that the Illinois law right now has no law on the regulation of license plate readers. And from a police perspective, our big contention is retention of that data. Because I believe we should keep that data forever. Because what if we have a serious crime like a murder and we don't discover that murder for a month? And then it's already deleted, all the information is deleted. Right now, there's no state law that regulates how long we keep that data. 7 years ago when we had legislation, the ACLU, when proposed legislation, they wanted to only let us retain that data for 24 hours. And we went, I think we went to 5 years. So it's sort of a touchy subject right now, but to answer your question, I would say we don't do anything. We just put them up and let them go. I would not want to put lights on them showing that they're there because, for the reasons I just mentioned.
So this information might not be related to the police immediately for like the suspend or revoke, some of that stuff, where we don't know yet. Like, are our officers gonna get hits? Like, I mean, it's gonna catch every car that's going both lanes, each direction.
Yes. Well, it depends. We'd have to have them come out and look to see if we can get away with one camera on each side.
Okay.
Or can we get away with one camera that would go north and south on Route 1? That would be the best alternative. But it depends on how wide the lanes are. If there's a turning lane like here, then you might have to have 2 cameras.
Okay. But is that information related to the police then, like a suspended, revoked?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You can adjust it to that.
So like how many hits an hour are we talking about? 1, 20? I
Depending on where you
depends
are.
on the traffic.
You know, if you're in Chicago, it's gonna go off a lot. Here, it's not gonna go off a lot, but we can determine what we want. I would suggest maybe we start by not having the suspended or revoked, because it might tie our officers up constantly.
And that's my concern. What, if you did that, what would your, and if you don't know this, that's fine, what would your expectation be? Because I don't want an officer getting 10 suspendeds in the shift, and then they don't spend any time in the community at all.
Right.
I mean, that's,
Yeah, that's something that we would work on. You
Okay.
know, we would decide collectively.
It's a feature that you could turn on or off, if I'm not mistaken. It's not something that
Yeah.
has to be
Yeah, you
reported
can
to
turn
the
off
office.
suspended, you can put just stolen cars, just wanted people, that kind of thing.
anybody else, any questions about that? Okay, police department and EMA monthly report are enclosed for your review. And then, at the end of the meeting, I'll be requesting closed session to discuss the hiring of part-time officers.
And we'll do that later on.
Yes, thank you, that's all I have.
Okay. Public Works Committee, trustee Giannotti.
Consider a proposal from Energins, to upgrade the SCADA system at well 4 and at Booster, and at the Booster Station for $12,600. This enclosed proposal is also in the budget, but requires approval since it is over $5,000. So, I'm going to make a motion to consider the proposal from Energins to upgrade the SCADA system at well 4 and at the Booster Station for $12,600.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call.
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Unani,
Yes.
Musician,
Yes.
Capros.
Yes. Okay. Consider an ordinance authorizing the village president and clerk to execute a project crossing agreement with Trim Creek Drainage District Number 3 for the Penfield Street Culvert. Please see the attached agreement. A $2,000 fee for the plan review is also forthcoming, but IDOT has agreed to reimburse the village 80% of that bill when PE2 reimbursements come through.
It's gonna be ordinance number 1356.
1357.
1357.
Okay, because we didn't, was 56, because we didn't
Oh,
do
I
anything to
missed
do
it, you're
ordinance.
Yeah, 55 was,
I had it wrong on my computer.
Yeah, I was just gonna cross this out.
Hold it. 1355 was the bank loan.
Yes.
1356 was IGA.
Okay,
For the fuel.
but that wasn't done as, an ordinance, so was that supposed to be an ordinance on that one?
Yes. Whatever you enter into governmental agreement fees and authorizing ordinance by the board.
All right,
Yeah,
so
was
that would have been
1356.
ordinance number 1356 for the
Yep.
intergovernmental agreement for the joint purchase and use of fuel. Do we need to redo those motions and votes, or?
No, I have them in the minutes as the ordinance.
You've got the, oh, okay. Good job, trustee Ford.
We usually ask for an ordinance number, but I didn't.
It wasn't in there that way.
It was
I
just
got
an
it all.
intergovernmental agreement.
Yeah.
That
Oh, it
triggers
didn't say
ordinance,
ordinance?
No.
I'd assume it's
Oh, then
automatic.
it's on me, okay.
Yep. Okay, so that's the ordinance number 1357.
Consider ordinance number 1357, authorizing the village president and clerk to execute a project crossing agreement with the Trim Creek Drainage District 3 for the Penfield Street Culvert.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Okay.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call?
Caprows,
Yes.
Possession,
Yes.
United,
Yes?
Gary,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Okay, and the water department monthly report is enclosed for your review. And that concludes my report.
Economic Development Community Relations Committee, trustee session.
Thank you. All right, so first up, we have the discussion and results of a night of music in the park. As of writing of the packet here, we say the event is scheduled for this Saturday night, previously October 9th, from 6:30 to 9 p.m. in Fireman's Park, and it's being sponsored by the Beecher Village Board. So as far as the outcome, I would say it was a great success. I think we had estimated 200 or 250 people in attendance.
250.
250, wonderful. I got numerous accounts of people that really enjoyed it. I haven't heard a single bad thing. I saw everybody there. I would say we'd like to thank the Beecher PD, EMA, and Public Works for all the work that they did helping us put it on and make it successful. Additionally, special thanks goes out to Beecher Lions Club, Sid and Bull, Phil Salmon, Ken Babowski, and Donna Barber for all the help that they gave. And I'd also like to recognize fellow trustee Joe Gianami for the time he spent helping prepare things for the event. So, wonderful. I think there's a lot of appetite for a similar event in the future, or series of events.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just out of curiosity, Ben, we're doing the 5-year capital or financial plan and the budget. How many events do you think you want to do next year, and how much do you think we should budget for that?
I'd say it's hard to put out a number. As far as like number of events, I feel like it wouldn't be bad to look at around maybe 10 for a summer. And maybe there's some room to float that number in a zone. I don't think you want to bite off maybe too much more than you can chew. Some of them would probably need to be less complicated. You know, I mean, here we had to do some coordination with other groups and work for like the food and the drink. And maybe you wouldn't necessarily want to do that every time, especially if you have like maybe a smaller band. But at the same time, I think it'd be nice to have maybe some bigger events too. As far as funding, so we all know it was 600 for this band. I think you're gonna see that number really fluctuates a lot based on the band you have. So if you wanna do a series of 10, I think you could easily be looking in like the $10,000 range, depending on the scope of bands that you would bring in for each different one. Sometimes you can get that smaller band for $600, but if you wanna have like a, you know, good headline band, you might be looking at a couple thousand.
There were people suggesting food trucks too, there were, you know, quite a few people saying that's something you could do in the future,
Yeah.
potentially.
Definitely.
Well, you might have other organizations that would be willing to sponsor an evening.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
And I don't think you'd wanna give up control of what band you put up on the stage, I think that's under village control, but if they wanna suggest a band or agree to pay for a band, they could be the sponsor of that certain evening, I don't think that's a bad thing either.
Sure, definitely.
Like the Chamber, or even the Lions Club, or whatever.
And it isn't sort of the point to give our businesses in town the opportunity to either sponsor it or promote themselves by coming to these events and,
Yeah,
you know, serving food, serving drinks. And I'm not gonna forget, I was promised an Oktoberfest, so whatever you gotta do, make it happen. Mr. Finance,
they had one in
Mr.
St.
Economic
Paul's,
Development,
they had one in St. Paul's out there, Todd.
no, I was promised one here. It was on camera. You just need to deliver.
This did happen in October.
This is true.
Didn't happen in October.
And they had nice mugs.
They did have.
That's true.
It's-
There was Sam Adams
It
October.
was in October, there was Oktoberfest beer.
In the mug.
Yeah.
About in a concert in October, that you missed.
There's
your
your
Oktoberfest,
So we'll get
that's it.
details, but Oktoberfest in September, so we'll work on that for next year. Great event.
Okay, and then next up, status of the fall newsletter project to be provided by the staff at the meeting. Jeanette?
The newsletter's been sent to the printer. They're trying to get it back to me to get to the post office by Friday, depending on their getting schedule.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Alrighty.
You have such a cheerful report.
I get the good stuff.
I don't, any old business to come before the board?
I just have one thing. At the last meeting when we discussed the new PD, we didn't eliminate any options. I think I said we eliminated a couple. What the architect came out for is, there was two options that he needed to gather more information for if we wanted to proceed with those. So he came out to ask if we even want to proceed with those, he would need to get him more information. A few of the projects, he had what he needed, so we just said, yes, go ahead and get information on that. Like every other large project, I mean, we'll present our recommendation, but we'll also present all the options, so the board has everything. So I don't think I stated that clearly last time. We did not eliminate any options. You know, we'll present the board with all the options and our recommendation when the time comes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any new business to come before the board?
I have one more. So, the police department, is going to put on a women's self-defense class. It is open to teens and adults. It's going to be November 3rd, 2021, at 6:30 p.m. at the Beecher Community Building. Class will include controlled self-defense movements, including takedown strikes, and kicks using pads. So, this is gonna be posted online too, eventually?
Well, Jeanette and I are working on that right now.
So this will be posted on our social media,
Absolutely.
when it's finalized, but just the date and time is set now.
Yeah.
So we wanna get that out as soon as we can. Do you have anything to add? Did I miss anything on that?
Couple questions. I assume free to residents?
The class?
Yeah.
There's no cost on here, so
Yeah,
I say
free.
yes.
Okay, and then, is it something where they would need to, sign up in advance, or just?
Yeah, the way we're gonna do it is, I talked to Jeanette about it earlier, we're gonna, put a link on the website where they can download the application, and they have to fill out the application, very simple application, a waiver, and bring it to the police department, and we haven't decided how many people yet, 20 to 25 people get in the class. Anyone else will be put on the list, and we will do another class if it's that popular.
So sign up early if you want it.
Very cool.
Great idea.
Like one other thing.
Wait, Matt was,
I'm
did you
sorry.
have something, Matt?
Oh, yeah, Brandt Excavating is planning on starting lead line replacement, hopefully starting next week. They finally got all of their supplies, and they're gonna be staging some of their equipment in the Gould Street stone parking lot. I told them that they're gonna have to stay in the north end with not knowing what's going on with the Gould Street project. We're gonna give them the northern half of that area across from Water Tower Park to do some of their staging. So, so far they have 60 lead lines that they found out of 470 homes that they've been in. Not what they were expecting. They were expecting a lot more. So, but it is what it is, and they're gonna be moving forward with the project, hopefully starting next week.
Do you know how many people they have not come in contact with yet?
So there was 730 some odd homes in the project scope, so roughly 300?
300, so that becomes our problem eventually, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, so we'll start trying to contact those residents. They've made multiple contacts, you know, knocked on their door multiple times with no, left letters, business cards, things of that nature, so, at some point, yeah, we'll start getting involved and try making phone calls to these residents or, you know, sending letters on our own or whatever, trying to, because it's something that the EPA is paying for, so I mean, we gotta get everybody on board with it. Eventually, it's gonna be a mandate that every single one gets replaced, so if they don't cover it now through the EPA, we're gonna end up having to foot the bill down the road, and I don't think anybody wants to do that, so I think we really need to get strict with these people and, you know, make them make these appointments and do this project, you know, otherwise it's gonna come down on us anyways, so.
Okay, the holidays are approaching. We're trying to schedule and plan village board meetings, so my question is, are we going to be meeting on November 22nd, the week of Thanksgiving? Do we have a quorum? Everyone will be out of town that week. I gotta squeeze an audit in here and everything else that's coming down the pike, so. You don't have to meet, I just need to know, so I can plan accordingly.
I'll be here.
So we want to have a meeting on the 22nd of November? That's good? Okay. How about the 27th of December? We typically cancel that one.
I would probably prefer not that one.
Cancel?
Yeah,
All right, that's all I have.
okay. Now do we have a motion to go into executive session?
Yes, I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss hiring of part-time officer for the police department.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second, roll call.
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Benatti,
Yes.
Possession,
Yes.
Capros.
Yep.